Hello and welcome to this 9th edition battle report for Warhammer 40k. We have Astra Militarum versus the Adeptus Mechanicus at 1,250 points. So we're going to get in, look at the army lists, and go over the mission. So to start us off here, we'll look at the Adeptus Mechanicus. He's got a bunch of different units here. Forgive me for not knowing all the proper names. He's got 2 Dune Crawlers with the Neuron Lasers. He's got 2 of the Murder Robots with the Phosphor Blasters. He also has a Tech Priest Engine Seer who will heal up a bunch of guys. Then he also has his Dominus there as well. He's got 5 of those new guys on the horses. They're pretty scary. Then he has a Vanguard unit of 10, and then he has 2 of the standard units, and then he has another one with a bunch of the arquebuses, the long shooty rifles. And then he also has 2 of the dragoons with the taser goad things. So that's pretty much his list. Very intimidating force. And then we move on to the Astra Militarum. We have 2 tank commanders armed with plasma cannons, plasma sponson, las cannons, storm bolter, and hunter killer missiles. I took the tank ace for rerolling 1s on the model. Then we also have, for vehicles, the Vulture gunship in there in the back with the Punisher cannons. Also have a Basilisk. Then we have 6 troop choices. 3 of the units have melta-guns, the rest are just bare bones. Then we have a Commissar just with a bolt pistol, and a company commander with a chainsword and las pistol. So the mission that we were looking at for today is the 4 pillars. So there's 4 objectives. This is our deployment. They're showcased by those dice. You have to have troops on them at the end of the turn. If you don't score points. There's also points for killing more than your enemy at the end of a battle round. No prisoners, slay the warlord, first strike, and line breaker. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So this is how we deployed. Astra Militarum won the role to go first. So with turn 1, the Punisher gunship just moved up. It put some shots into his cavalry there, taking out almost half of them. With that as well, the tank commander at the bottom right, the green one, he took out one of the murder robots. And then the other tank commander put some shots into the dragoons and actually took them out along with the basilisk. I also used a stratagem, the bombardment one, at the beginning of the game. So I did damage a few mortal wounds to a couple of the units, which actually turned out to be quite handy later on. So that's turn 1, Astra Militarum. Next, this is the bottom of turn 1 with Mechanicus. So what happened here is he moved up a couple of his units. He moved up the Dune Strider, the tank there with 10 of his troops in there. He moved up the Murder Robot and then hunkered it down to do double shooting. The Dune Crawlers moved up, and his 1 unit moved over to capture that point. So with that, he put a lot of shots into the Lehman Rust, the green one, the tank commander, only doing 3 wounds. He did not roll hot. And then the 2 units on the objective there, just in front of the green Lehman Rust, they got whittled away by the phosphorus blasters from the murder robot. And there was only the 1 guy left, so it still gave the Astra Militarum a point at the end of that. So he also failed to charge with his cavalry, and he did a couple of wounds with some pot shots at the Vulture gunship. And that was pretty much it for his turn. So at the bottom of turn 1, Mechanicus scored 2 points for holding their objectives, and then they also got first strike, and same with the Astra Militarum. They got 2 objectives and 1 first strike point. So it's at 3-3. Turn 2. So with this, the movement, Vulture gunship moved over. He put a bunch of shots into that last unit. I needed to get the troop choice gone over there on that objective, and he also put some shots into the Tech Priest Engine Seer, and unfortunately didn't kill him. He's only on 1 wound left. With this as well, the tank commander gained another wound back from jury rigging. The couple of units on the side there, some of them got shot up from the previous turn. They all moved up to be within 3 of that objective, and they put in all their shots into the closer unit on the objective in the top left there and whittled them down a bit. The one tank commander put his shots into, I believe it was the Dune Crawlers, and only did a couple of wounds. And then the green one, he put 4 wounds onto the Murder Robot over there as well. And also put some wounds into the Dune Strider to transport, and that blew up. But he used a stratagem so that it wouldn't hurt anything. Or it didn't blow up, it just died. And they all disembarked fine. I had to fire the mortars at them to kind of whittle them down, and then I didn't want him getting on the objective there at the bottom right, so I charged in that last guardsman. He survived Overwatch and survived combat, thus not allowing him to fall back closer to the objective or scoot around to that objective. So that was a huge play right there for this turn. So that was turn 2. Now we're looking at the bottom of turn 2 for Mechanicus. He put on the pressure here, moving up his forces. He did not do good with his Dune Crawlers there. They didn't really do too much in terms of damage besides blowing up the Vulture gunship. They tried shooting at the tank there at the bottom right to no avail. But he fired pretty much everything in his army at the Vulture gunship, and it took the last squad on the top left objective to do 1 wound to take him out. And then in combat, of course, over there by the bottom right objective, the Skitaris, the Mechanicus took out that one lonely Melta Guardsman, but they could not advance far enough to get onto the objective there. So at the end of this turn, on turn 2, there was a point scored for killing more than the enemy. That was for Astra Militarum, and then they also got holding 1 objective. So that brought Astra up to 5, and Mechanicus was just holding 1 objective over there in the top left, so they went up to 4 points. Okay, looking at turn 3 next. So this was a big turn. The tanks did some shooting. They basically took out most of his infantry units. I had the officers and things, the Commissar do first rank, second rank fire to one of the units on the left there, and they took out that 1 squad on objective 4. Of course, there's still that one in the back row. The Basilisk whiffed. The tank commander blew up the last Murder Robot, and I believe there was just a wound or 2 put onto one of the Dune Crawlers, and the mortars fired into some of the remaining Skitari there who were in front of objective 5, along with that 1 unit of guard in the ruins in front of the tank commander in the bottom right, and they took out that unit. So he only had 1 troop choice left at this point, which made things kind of grim. So at the bottom of turn 3, Mechanicus moved up their Dune Crawlers, and they shot and blew up the tank commander on the left. He was taken out. Took all of his shooting from those, and then he fired the heavy stubbers into the unit by objective 5 there at the bottom right. There was still just enough guardsmen within range to keep that claimed. And then his unit over there on the far right, at the top left, they actually, I believe, did the last wound into the Lehman Rust tank commander. So between the neuron lasers and that last unit, he was able to take them out. And with that, the points, the Skitari went, Mechanicus, I'm going to keep saying Skitari, Mechanicus, they went up 1 point for holding that 1 objective in the top left, and Astra were holding 2. So they were holding 2 objectives, so that gave them more, and no one got kill more, I believe, this turn. Moving on. So we're doing the combined turn 4 and turn 5. On the Astra Militarum turn, pretty much the Commissar there at the bottom left, right on objective 3, he issued move to one of the units. They moved up there, so even if I don't kill that unit with all the fire from the tank commander, the Basilisk, there was still a unit on there to claim it and hold that point. So right now there's 3 units getting some objective points. We called it here because with all the firepower that I would have done into that one little unit, you would have had nothing left to score, and I just keep racking up points. So the Adeptus at this point were at 5, and Astra took the lead by 4 points here because we held more, and we had 3 of the objectives. So 3 plus held more is 4 added on to the 7, so that brings us to 11. So with that, we rolled the dice, and the game didn't end. And then we rolled the dice again, and the game didn't end. And then finally, on turn 7, it ended. So what we did here is it was probably in the case of it was problematic in the case of rolling dice in terms of figuring out who would kill more per turn. So we kind of just did roll-offs just so that we could get some points in here. So that was kind of random, but the rest, I would have taken out that unit, would be getting at least 2 points per turn. He'd shoot some stuff off, and then I'd go and capture another one. So we kind of just fiddled around with the points here, and towards the end, we both would have Line Breaker, and then of course, that would be the only other point that he could get besides 2 that were killing more than the Astra Militarum. So it'd bring the Mechanicus up to 8, and with Astra, they would keep scoring at least 2 points per turn up until turn 7, and then Line Breaker bringing them up to 19 points. So win for the Astra. Very close game. A couple of things that would have been done differently. If you would have shot, charged the Lonely Guardsman or overwatched him at some point, that would have changed a couple of points there. And then that was kind of one of the main things that he wished he had done. His Canticles were super good. He kept getting the one that he paid command points for +1 to his armor save, which helped him out immensely with a lot of the firepower coming towards him. And I just had a lot more troops in him too, so I could just flood the objectives, so that kind of helped. And I made sure to hold on to one of the guard squads there at the end, the one at the bottom right there, to make sure to hold that objective. MVPs of the game, I'd have to say, for me, would be between the Vulture gunship and the tank commander. They did some work, and that one guardsman with the Meltagun who stopped that unit from moving up and getting that point. He survived the round of combat and then just got eaten up, but he did his job for the Emperor. And then with the Mechanicus, I think his units of choice would have been the robots, because they put out so many shots. They pretty much killed a tank in one turn. Unfortunately, his Dune Striders, they did very little in terms of damage except towards the Vulture. Very unfortunate rolling there. But great game, great opponent, fun time. So until next time, happy wargaming.